Alright, so my buddy drops me off earlier, and I go to check this camera to see when my mom left or if my son left or, who's home and who left when. And I'm looking at the camera and I narrow it down the time whenever my buddy dropped me off at home down to like just after the 11 o'clock hour. And I check like 11, we're not there. I check like 11:15 and we're there. So then I rewind it to like 11:08, 11:09, we're not there yet. And then I started thinking, there's no way in hell that we showed up at my house right at fucking 11:11. Like, come on. I mean, this shit is getting creepy. There's no way. We were just talking about these numbers and shit. There's no way that we showed up at my house right at 11:11. Right? There's no way. Okay, so I look and I put it on 11:11 and 11 seconds. I'm like, okay, so see, it's December 10th, 2022, 11:11:11. Okay, but check this out. So what time did he really get there? Well, let's hit play and find out. It's 11:11 and 11 seconds. Okay, so I hit play, and it's rolling now, right? Let's zoom in a little bit here. Here we zoomed in a little bit. I guess you can't see the bridge here. Let's do this. Oh, look, there it is. Look at that. Fucking 11:11 and 30 some seconds is absolutely when my buddy dropped me off. Okay. He literally pulls in before 11:12 hits. It's before 11:12 hits that he fucking pulls in. I mean, look at that. He's backing in. Boom. So he fucking pulled in 11:11, and it was not 11:12. It actually was fucking 11:11. I mean, I get it. The concepts of certain energy, certain dimensions, that time is an illusion, and that in the spirit realm or the higher dimensional beings, time is an illusion. It doesn't exist, and that's how our reality that we perceive. That's how it explains like the angel numbers. When you're on your divine path and you start seeing these numbers everywhere. I'm not even kidding. I see them fucking everywhere. I don't look for them. I mean, obviously, I notice them more because I started noticing them. But I was looking at them. I never knew this was a thing. I saw them so much that I was like, okay, this is getting creepy. What does this mean? What does this mean? So I looked it up, and then I found out this is a thing. Seeing these numbers everywhere, it's an actual fucking thing that like a lot of people see these numbers, and a lot of people they to the point where people literally tell you what they mean and shit. And now this is why it has to have something to it, because I didn't know that, but I was seeing them everywhere. 38 years of my life. Well, I'll be 38 in 2 days. 38 years on 12/12. But 38 years of my life, and I never noticed these. Well, 37 years. For the last year, I've been noticing them everywhere, to the point where I looked it up, and then I found out it's a regular thing. So does that not suggest that it has to be a thing? It's not like the idea was suggested to me, and that's why I started seeing them? No, I started seeing them first. Then looked into it and realized, oh, this is a thing? And that's the same thing. That's the same thing with with all of this stuff going on with the I don't know, all of the little patterns that you notice, right? 37 years on this planet, and you don't notice these things, they jump out at you because it's not what has been normal for 37 years. When you notice these things to the point where you actually have to look up, and you feel weird even looking it up because it's really weird stuff, like neighbors stalking me or neighbors spying on me. Like, that's what I looked up, and I came across the term TI. I'm like, well, what's a TI? And then gangstalking. I was like, what the fuck is gangstalking? Okay. And I start reading these forums of these people that are literally their testimony. They're reporting what what they're experiencing. And I was blown away. These people were literally explaining very, very, very specific things. Very specific things. That there's no way all these people report the same exact, very, very, very specific things happening to them, right? And they're all the same kind of crazy, the exact same kind of crazy. That's crazy to even think that. So I experienced it first and then researched it, and then I came across the term targeted individual and gang stalking. And then everything that I read about it fit perfect. It made everything make perfect sense. I remember that day. I remember the day reading it in the bathroom of my apartment, like thinking, what is a TI? What is this? Who are these people? They're crazy. What are they talking about? And then you read a little further and you realize, holy shit. What are the odds I stumble across this term and it's exactly what it was? Like, I didn't even have to look hard. I didn't have to look far at all. So that's how I know. Like, nobody can tell me that it's persecutory delusions. And nobody can tell me that it's all technology. And that the technology, they just want me to think that it's fucking spiritual and that it's a higher power or that it's God, right? No, listen, and listen very carefully. Why can't it be both? Who says it has to be one or the other? It's obviously some human manipulation and human involvement in the whole thing, but I believe it's everything. I believe there's another player in the game. That's what I think. There absolutely is another player in the game, and that's what makes it so confusing, because what they're doing to us, it breaks the universal law. Like, it breaks the universal law so bad that these higher royal beings in our higher conscious and in the spirit realm, they have no choice but to intervene, and that's what we're seeing. We are seeing the spiritual realm literally. They're no longer sitting back and watching and letting people just make their mistakes as they do, because it could take some people a lot of fucking time. No, they're helping us out. They are literally balancing some shit out right now. That is what I see happening. And the shit that I see that cannot be explained by any technology. And listen, I have a pretty open mind, and I can go pretty far down the rabbit hole with what's possible with technology. And I understand that they can really easily make it look like it's a higher power or it's God, and make you look like it's witchcraft and shit to get you. I can see how they can do that, and they probably do that a little bit. But that does not dismiss the experiences that I have, that I'm sorry, there's no fucking explanation in the world as far as human intervention or human technology. There's no way some of the things I experience are caused by human intervention. It is absolutely a higher power. So that's why you guys got to get out of the mindset that it's this, or no, it's this, and no, it's this, and no, it's this. Listen, it's everything. Who said it has to be one or the other? Doesn't it make more sense if it's both? Doesn't that make the whole thing make more sense? That's what scientists do, right? Physicists, they come up with theories, right? And they test their theories. And when their theories can't be disproved, they go with those theories. Those theories become accepted by the majority of mainstream science, because nobody can disprove them. Okay, well, nobody can prove what's going on. Nobody knows. It's all speculation. But I would like somebody to disprove what I just said. I think it's everything. I think there's absolutely a divine intervention with this fucking, with the gang stalking and with the being targeted and persecuted. And I believe there's absolutely human intervention. It's both. It is absolutely both. That's why nobody knows what they're doing. You know what I mean? They're using these people that are not enlightened. You know what I mean? The negative forces are using those people because they're so easy to control and manipulate. And they're using them to attack the enlightened people before we wake too many people up. That's what I think is going on here. And and they're just using human beings as fucking like puppets, man. You know, there's an agenda that is not in our physical reality. There is a bigger agenda. Just like anybody who gets spiritual and gets into religion, they say, there's a bigger plan, right? Well, it sure fucking seems like we're all part of this bigger plan, and this bigger plan is playing out. And I guarantee I'm not the only one saying it. I'm sure the majority of people would probably, you know, they would probably hesitate before dismissing what I'm saying right now. That's just my theory. That's what I think. That's my opinion. Because everybody I talk to, it checks out. Everybody I talk to, the synchronicities that are happening more and more every day. People I've never met before that I get it that they put people in your path and shit, and there's people that try to gaslight you, but there's people that I come across and I bite my tongue and shut up, but after a while, then they say a couple things and they're pretty enlightened, they're pretty mature when it comes to their spiritual maturity, even though this person's like in their early 20s and they've been there, done that, right? Then they start with just so many synchronicities just with this first interaction with a person, and first, you know what I mean, you have your first conversation and you talk to somebody for, hang out, maybe a couple hours, and when I'm done, I feel like I know that person better than most people I've known my whole life. I feel like I know her from, I swear to God, I feel like I know her from a past life or something. I mean, there's way too much. We're on the same fucking frequency and the same, we're definitely on the same wavelength. And she hadn't even ever heard of some of the terms that I was telling her. Yet she opened my eyes and enlightened me to some of the things involved with the zodiac and shit. And so it was, I was where I needed to be when I needed to be there. I was right where I was supposed to be. And I believe that we both come out with something that will help us further along in our enlightenment. And you have to try to do that. You have to let go of everything. Don't fight it. Just let go. When you let go and let everything happen the way it's supposed to happen, people say, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And people always have this idea, this plan where they see themselves in 5 years. I don't know about you, but I don't know anybody who like accomplishes exactly, who manifests exactly where they see themselves in 5 years. It's usually something totally fucking different than what they planned, isn't it? You try to make a plan, and then 5 years later, you say, wow, 5 years ago, if you asked me, what I'd be doing, I never thought in a million years this is what I'd be doing. That's usually the response you get, right? And that's with pushing back. That's when you're trying to accomplish a plan, but yet the way everything happens, you still end up doing something else. And then that leads to the next, and leads to the next, and leads to the next. And at some point you look back and you say, well, thank God I did this, because had I never done that, then I wouldn't be doing this today, or I wouldn't be here today. And there's so many of these little tiny incidents, these little tiny, just little tiny interactions or little tiny happenings, right? It's like a butterfly effect. It has a huge effect on the timeline and on your future. I mean, I could think of the smallest little things that could very easily have went the other way, and say, you know what? Had this not happened, had I left 30 seconds earlier on this one day, my life would be totally different. But I wouldn't take anything back for the world, ever. Not for all the money in the world. My life has been what most people would consider rough, right, to this point. I don't see it that way. I don't see it that way at all. It's exciting. Every day brings something new, something different. I mean, come on, how fucking boring would life be if you didn't have to worry about money, you didn't have any problems, right? You just did whatever you wanted to do. You had nothing to scare you, nothing to worry you, nothing to excite you, right? No mystery, no not knowing, no, you know what I mean? You have nothing like that. No further thinking about any subjects because you already know everything, right? How fucking lame and boring would life be if that was the case? So when you accept that, then you realize that, well, then the whole point of life and us being here is to experience as much as we possibly can. As much as we can that will help enlighten you. It will help you to elevate, help you to grow and become a wiser, better version of yourself. You know what I mean? Every day I become a better version of myself. Every day. And that's what I strive for. And it's nuts. Like, it's great. It's like watching a new series or something, right? Like a new hit on TV that everybody's watching, and they leave you with a cliffhanger and leave you on the edge of your seat, right at the end of every episode. That's what life feels like for me. It really does. And yeah, there's some things that worry, or a little, they kind of worry you or scare you a little bit. What would scare most people anyway, or worry most people, I just look forward to it. Because I'm breathing, I'm healthy, my kids are healthy, and they're smart, you know what I mean? And they're not perfect, thank God they're not perfect. Thank God they're making mistakes now. I mean, the sooner they make these mistakes when they're younger, the better chance they're going to be a better person when they are, fall into their maturity. The much better chance. And the less mistakes they're going to make later on in life. That's the way I see it. Because I don't care who you are. Everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. The only thing is, some people just get away with their mistakes because of who they know, or somebody abusing their authority or their power, and that goes to their head and their ego, and then they don't have control over their, over the big picture of their self. They don't have the right perspective of their situation, because they just think automatically that, well, I never went to jail, or I never got in trouble, or people don't talk bad about me, and it creates this toxic fucking programming in their mind that they automatically put themselves on a pedestal, and they think they're better than other people. That's not good. It's not good. It will not help you in any way. It won't do you any favors if you have that mindset. Because who's going to teach you anything if you're better than them? You know what I mean? Who are you going to learn from if you're smarter than everybody, if you know everything already? Who's going to talk shit on you if you're the popular one, right? And everybody strives to talk to you. Who are you going to go to when you need help if you have everything all figured out? You know what I mean? You would never experience any of these things and never become a better person. You would just be you would end up being a negative, miserable, old, lonely, sad pedestal. You'd be up on your pedestal all by yourself to the point where you can't even see anybody else because you put yourself so high. Everybody else is down here at the bottom having fucking fun, learning, making mistakes, having a blast, living life, having a human experience. While you're up there on a pedestal just watching, because you put yourself there. You put yourself there. And guess what? You think, you hold your head high and everything, and it's great to have confidence, but don't mistake in your confidence for ego, for too much ego. Okay? Ego Ego's bad. Confidence is good. It can be a good thing. Too much of it turns into ego, and that's bad. Okay? You need confidence. You need to have confidence. You also need to have skepticism. You also have to what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, self somebody who's like self-conscious, you know what I mean? Somebody who they're their worst critic, you know what I mean? You have to have a little bit of everything. You do. Too much of anything is a bad thing. It's all about balance. You got to be nice, but you got to be mean sometimes. Okay? You have to be happy, but you have to be mad sometimes. It's the only way to figure certain things out, because anger can be a motivator. It can, in used in the right way. It can help you to see things, or help you to give you that little bit of extra energy you need to make a decision that's normally would be hard for you to make if you're calm, cool, and collected, because you're such a nice person. Maybe you can't bring yourself to be mean, so you actually have to get angry to be able to push yourself over the line to make that decision that was hard for you before. So you have to balance. You have to balance everything. So that's why I tell people, please don't mistake my kindness for weakness. Please don't. Because I try to be kind to everybody, because that's how I would like to be treated as well. And it doesn't feel good to me to treat people any other way. It really doesn't. Even if they hate me and they're ignorant and they do everything against me that they can, I don't get it. I don't get what people, they play into the spite energy, the vindictive energy. I don't get it. I can't even imagine it. I still cannot get satisfaction whenever I imagine somebody, who come against me failing or something, somebody who has come against me, or somebody who's done everything they can against me for no reason, and then they get their karma. It does not make me happy. I do not get satisfaction out of that. I mean, obviously, whenever it's said, the first reaction is well, karma's a bitch. You might smile a little bit, but when you actually think about it by yourself, without any audience or anything, and you think about it, like when I do anyway, when I think about it, it makes me sad. It really does make me sad, and I feel for these people. My heart goes out to them. I really, really do. Like, and I really kind of hate even saying that I feel bad for these people, because I don't think it's doing them any good to be self-serving towards themselves, listening to me say that I feel bad for them. I think that probably does the opposite than help. Now, some people maybe are open-minded enough to think about that without being too overly critical, and not take it the wrong way. And they can understand, like they can try to maybe put themselves in that energy, and I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. Whenever something bad happens to somebody that you don't know them, you're unbiased. You have no opinion or judgment on them one way or another, and you see something really bad happen to them. You know that shitty feeling that you get, where you get either mad or sad, or your heart goes out to those people. You know that feeling that you get at that point? That's what I feel for everybody when something bad happens to them. All the time. It doesn't matter if it's my worst enemy in the world. I can, I can, um, I can be happy for a split second, because I'm right about something that I've been speaking on for a long time. But then whenever I think about that person's feelings, how they feel, how it feels to be in their shoes when something bad happens to them, and I instantly, my awareness goes from the happy place over to this fucking really sad place that it makes your heart hurt. It really, really does. And I'm not a joke. This is genuine shit that I'm talking about. I don't fucking care if anybody thinks I'm corny. I don't care if anybody thinks I'm full of shit. I really don't care. Because I think that even if 99 people think that, but one person takes it the way it's meant to be, the way it's meant to be taken, as my genuine words and feelings, and it helps them, then it's worth it. And I'll do this every day of the week, all day long, because I'm not here for you guys to criticize me. That's what's funny to me. I don't care if I'm the joke of Patton. I really don't give a fuck. I'm kind of used to it. You know what I mean? Like, haven't I been the behind the back joke of Patton for a long time now? Isn't that kind of the whole deal? That everybody talks about me, but nobody will talk to me or say it to my face before it already makes its rounds around Patton. You know what I mean? And there's obviously enough people that talk bad about me that it kind of scares away the people that are sitting there thinking that's bullshit. They probably bite their tongue because they don't even want involved, and I don't blame them. They don't even want to involve. They don't want to go and start something and say to that person, that they're wrong, or speak their opinion to that person, and they shouldn't, because that's that negative energy, and you should just ignore it and rise above it. But if everybody just spoke their mind, I have a feeling that it would be a little more evened out. Either a little more evened out, or it would be a blowout the other way around. It's just when a couple people are making so much noise, right? It's noisy. There's a lot of noise, and that's all you hear. You know what I mean? But people can work in silence and get a lot done. So when there's just a couple people making all this noise, right? They take the attention of everybody because of the noise they're making. And there's all these other people, right? Just a couple making all this noise, but there's a majority of people in silence, right? Just doing their thing, not talking about it. And I think that holds just as much weight, if not more, than talking shit on somebody. You talk shit on somebody, you're going out of your way to do that. But when you don't include yourself, you don't have to speak back. I'm just saying being neutral. Just being neutral, right? Biting your tongue and not saying anything either way. I feel like that is more powerful than talking shit. It's easy to talk shit on people. It's fucking easy to talk shit on people. Especially when nobody is correcting you and nobody's is debating what you're saying, and you have one or two people that are cheering you on. That makes it really easy to talk shit on people. But when you try to say something good about a person when the conversation is about the opposite, when somebody's talking negative about somebody, and you try to raise your volume and try to speak louder than the negative noise, that's hard to do. It takes a lot of energy to do that, but I feel like it has so much more weight. It could be 10 people talking shit on me. One person goes out of their way and says, you know what, I'm tired of fucking hearing it. You guys are full of shit. You're wrong. And somebody stands up and does that against a group of people. I feel like that is so much more powerful. So much more powerful. It's just, at the end of the day, that's somebody making a choice to stand up against the norm. So people that just conform and they go along with the flow because everybody does, because it's easier that way. But when something's wrong and you know it's wrong, it's easy to go with the flow, but it's harder to stand up and say, no, this is wrong. That it creates a lot more fucking energy. That's so much more powerful to do that. If you can have the courage, not care what people are going to say or how they're going to react to you pushing back, it's so much more powerful. Anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. We all have a voice. We just need to use it more. We need to use it more to each other. We need to communicate to each other more. Stop biting your tongue and just ignoring shit. We all need to speak our opinions more to each other. without fucking violence. It's not hard to do. Come on, if we're adults, we can debate something, even get fired up about it. Not hard to do without getting violent. Okay. Yeah, I think people can accomplish that once they're like, what, like in high school. I mean, yeah, I know kids in fucking grade school that are mature enough to know better than to give in, to their fucking a heated debate. At the end of the day, it's an argument, it's a heated debate. If you find yourself getting really, really mad, then maybe you really need to try to see the other perspective. You need to try harder to see the other perspective. And maybe they do too. But we have these debates for a reason. There's a reason. It's because it's important enough and people are passionate enough to give their energy away to stand their ground on a stance one way or another. They're going to give their energy away and put their time and effort and energy and opinions into a subject that means it's important, especially if there's two factions that are opposite. It's that way for a reason. It's obviously that way for a reason. It's not always just black or white. You know what I mean? The white, there's so many more variables into it that you have to listen to everything. That's the only way you can evolve. It's the only way you can become enlightened and ascend, to become an ascended master. You have to be able to see everything from every perspective. If there's a bunch of people and you can see a situation from every one of those person's perspective, okay, that's great. But did you look at it from the bird's perspective that's flying overhead? How does this situation affect that bird? Did you think about the earthworms in the ground? How does this situation affect them? What's their perspective? Does anybody care? You know what I mean? There's a lot more perspectives than just people's perspectives. We don't own this planet. We share it. We're the minority. I don't know if anybody realizes that. We are the minority. This is not our planet. It's something we're a part of that we share with many, 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 many other, living, breathing, thinking, fighting, living, eating, shitting, loving, hating, fucking beings. And I'm sorry, but every one of those living beings, I think, has a fucking conscience. They're conscious. They are conscious. And I think they just have a different perspective, that's all. People try to say that, oh, animals don't have a soul. Bullshit. Bullshit, they don't. They are a living being. Therefore, they have a beating heart. If they have a beating heart, they have a mind that helps them think, right? They take in the earth's elements and breathe. They either breathe the water or the air, okay? And they make noise, right? They communicate with others. You know what I mean? Why would they do that if they weren't thinking beings? If they didn't have a heart? If they didn't, it's just different beings have different priorities when it comes to that. A lot of animals, their animal instincts are much more powerful than their compassion and their empathy, because they keep things real simple. They do. They keep things real simple. Human language has made things so fucked everything up. Human language gave us the ability to distract people. If you just go back to keeping it simple, keep it fucking simple. It's really, really is. It's that simple. Don't cheat. Don't steal. Don't lie to people. Don't go out of your way to affect another living being on purpose for no reason. That is against universal law. Don't do it. And don't do it for money or for whatever. Do not do it for financial gain, or do not come against another being if it's not necessary. Sometimes it's necessary. It absolutely is. That's why bad things do happen, because it's so much bigger than us. Bad things happen to people because we're just little fucking specks, dude. We're like nothing. And bad things happen every day to people, but it balances the universe out. It helps balance everything out because bad things happen. Good things happen too. But when you got greedy motherfuckers that have no compassion and no empathy, and they don't give two fucks how many lives they affect or ruin or negatively affect, or they don't care what, how much energy a person is being, robbed of because of their want or their need, they don't think about that shit. And that is against the universal law, okay? And the universe will fucking let you know. They will. You do the crime, you pay. You do the crime, you do the time. As simple as that. Just like we have man's law of man, you know what I mean? That's the legality laws. We just made all that up. We just wrote shit down on paper, and we said, a group of people said, the majority of people said, okay, we're going to write this down, and this is a rule. We can't do this. And because there's more of us that say this, then we overpower the minority, and we'll just do this to you if anybody breaks it, because we think this. Well, the minority is right sometimes. Sometimes the majority is wrong. A lot of times nowadays, the majority is completely wrong because they've just been programmed for so long. Deep down, they know they're wrong about a lot of shit, but it's too hard to go against it. It's just so much easier just to shut your mouth, turn your cheek, look the other way, like, I didn't see nothing. Nope, I didn't see nothing. Well, you know what? You might try to lie to yourself and say you didn't see nothing or hear nothing. And maybe nobody saw you do that. But God knows. The universe knows. Higher spiritual beings, they see it all. On a regular basis, they see it all at any time. There is no time, so they can see anything that you do, have done, or gonna do. They see it. They see it. They're there, and they can intervene if you're not following the rules. I'm not kidding when I say that it's a very it's an uncomfortable number of people that have come against me. Something bad has happened to them. It's the amount of people that I can, if I had to sit down and think about it and write them all down, it'd be a big list of people that once they came against me and then something really bad happened to them. I can't think of anybody that has tried to do these things. Like, the worst thing they try to do to me, the worst the thing is that happens to them. I mean, a lot of people just die. Heart attack, just die. Like out of, not in, early. They die young, or they die, it's out of the norm, like when there's a cop, an officer who came against me, and he's on duty, and he's well under, way under the life expectancy average, right, for this area, or anybody, like maybe a couple decades, 20 or 30 years under life expectancy, and he's on duty, and he's in the course of his duties, he's just driving a squad car, not doing anything strenuous, right, and this cop just croaks over and dies while on duty. Yes, these things happen. Of course they do. They happen every day to people. Why do you think that is, though? I'm just saying, they keep coming. I keep hearing about these people, and somebody will be like, oh, did you hear so-and-so died? I'm like, are you kidding me? That's another one that specifically, literally came against me. This person I'm thinking of, that I'm talking about, he was present when another officer tried to kill me. Okay, he went along with it, and then at the preliminary hearing that I called, said I was on my way, I was leaking gas, I get over there, and they hurried up and had the hearing without me. She's like, well, if you would have called and told us you were coming, I said I did. And she says, no, they said that you weren't coming. I said, no, I called because I was going to be late because I was leaking gas. I said I was coming. It's a preliminary hearing. Why wouldn't I come? That's what I want. That's for me. So I get there. I'm a little bit late. They're all still in the courtroom. All of them are in the courtroom. The judge, the cop, the prosecutor, they're all in there, right? And they won't allow me to have a preliminary hearing, okay? But I go in right when I went to enter the building, okay? The arresting officer was in the courtroom. But right when I went to go in the building, because I was running a little bit late, this other officer that was involved in this incident, the one that just died while on duty, just had a heart attack and died, he happened to be coming out the door, out the main door of the magistrate court office, right when I was going in, and he gave me the biggest smirk and the biggest fucking smirk and smile. Just one of those ones that tells you, you know, like it speaks to you. Like what I got from it was, haha, you didn't get a chance to participate in your preliminary hearing. You're done, because he was leaving and I was coming in, and there's, you know, he smirked at me and smiled at me. Not a wave or whatever. I've never spoke 2 words to this officer. But when I was arrested, he was the one officer who kept holding my pistol up in the air and flipping it around. He was pretending that he had to try to see the serial numbers. He just kept holding it up in the air to make the biggest scene as he could. That was the whole plan, because they wanted the town and public to get the idea that I was arrested and it had something to do with guns. I was arrested for something to do with guns. They did it to scare people. And they made sure they held my pistol way up in the air and everything else. They made sure that they arrested me. They made sure I laid down on the ground when they arrested me. They made sure that they yelled at the top of their lungs. It was nuts, dude. It was fucking crazy. And I was a perfectly calm, cool, easy going. I've always complied with them. I've never given cops a hard time on an incident, ever, ever, ever. You know, I will ask the right questions, and I will speak my mind and give my opinion. Of course, I have the right to petition my government, and I have the right to air my grievances to my public servants. It's not just a right, it's a duty. It's your duty to bring your grievances to your public officials. It's your duty to petition your government. We are the other check and balance. We are that fourth branch. And we're not doing our job. We haven't been doing our job. Because people just don't care until it affects them directly, specifically. Oh, what? I should look into my community government and see where money's going? Fuck that. Sounds too much like work. Why would I do that? They take care of it. I'm sure they all have so much integrity. I'm sure nobody's embezzling money. I'm sure my tax dollars are going to something good. I'm sure. I just trust them, yeah. Well, when nobody does the check and balance, nobody audits, and nobody actually holds their feet to the fire, you know, the absence of that, you know, of that babysitter, it breeds, it literally, it's like a petri dish for a virus just to like fucking grow out of control. It's asking for corruption. It's asking, you know, for people to test their integrity, and most times they fail the test. You know, you place a stack of cash in front of somebody on the ground, right? And there's somebody 100 feet ahead walking, and that they don't see you, and there's nobody else around, and you look down and you're wondering where it came from, and the only explanation is that person in front of you just dropped it, right? I mean, you pick that cash up and think, well, I'm just not going to say anything. That's wrong. That's fucking wrong, and you know it. So right there, you are stealing, and you're lying to yourself, trying to tell yourself that you just found it. You weren't stealing it. It's finders keepers, right? Now, if you have the thought that it might be that person's and you don't act on that thought, you just stole from them, or you potentially stole from them. You don't want to ask the question because you don't want the answer. And you try to kid yourself and think that you did nothing wrong because you don't know if it was theirs or not. But you thought about it, didn't you? That makes it wrong. That means that you consciously thought, I'm not going to ask that person because I want the money and it might be theirs. Well, you're literally thinking, okay, hypothetically, that's their money. You're not saying anything now. You pick it up and put it in your pocket. If that happened to be the truth, you just stole from them. You consciously stole from them. You can't, everybody wants to play dumb. Plausible deniability. Well, you know what? It's getting really, really easy to pick that apart and to just expose the blatant truth, even if I can't prove something, right? Right? I can certainly throw all the circumstantial shit out there and let everybody be their own judge. I won't make any claims. I'll just say, hey, well, this happened, this happened, this happened. You be the judge. I don't know. This is my theories, my opinion. This is what I think is going on based on this, this, and this. But I don't know. We can't prove it. Of course, there could be doing this or that or whatever. You know what I mean? It's plausible deniability. It's the fucking most ridiculous thing in the world. You know what I mean? Whatever happened to people having integrity and just doing what's right and standing up against what's wrong? No, everybody wants to fucking weasel their way in and find these little loopholes, and they just lie to themselves. They're just lying to themselves, saying, well, no, I didn't. I found that money. I'm not a thief. I found it. I found it. And then you use cognitive dissonance, right? And you give yourself, no, I don't think it was that person's because they wouldn't have that money. That you try to come up with excuses to convince yourself, right? You're just lying to yourself, though. You're not really convincing anyone else. You're just lying to yourself, that's all. Nobody else really cares that much. If you're thinking on it that much, you're just lying to yourself. It's pretty bad you can't even trust yourself to the point that you lie to yourself. That's sad. You got to be truthful with yourself. And you got to do what's right, especially when no one's looking. So be good or be good at it. 11-11, peace out.